Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the AITAH subreddit by user OKCartoonist5220. The post was made about 3 weeks ago and is titled WIBTA for divorcing my wife for accusing me of cheating on her. I, 44M, and my wife Grace, 42F, are using fake names for obvious reasons, as well as this throwaway account. We have been married for 13 years and together for 16. I met Grace around the time I got out of the military due to a medical discharge. I met her while I was at the hospital for surgery. She was a nurse on the floor I was staying on. She was a single mom, divorced for a couple of years. After leaving the military, I went back to school and now work from home as a software engineer, more or less. We started dating and took it slow for the first couple of years because of her daughter Maya, who was 5 at the time. Grace is still a nurse and Maya is now in college. I would have said until last month that our marriage was pretty solid. We've had arguments. I admit I was kind of bad at housekeeping when we first moved in together because I was not used to how much kids can tear things up around the house. But other than that, it was good. There were no step-parent issues. I had an active role in Maya's life because her father lives overseas for work. We went on dates and intimacy has always been great. We wanted kids, but it wasn't in the cards for us. Honestly, I am a bit blindsided. I've had friends who were blindsided by divorce, but I never understood how. Usually there were problems that they glossed over, and then suddenly their wives would leave them and they just didn't see it coming. But the rest of us could see it coming from a mile away. So here I am saying the same thing, and maybe I just missed something huge. Recent developments in the past few months, Grace has been more stressed than usual. Ever since COVID, she has been burnt out. I asked her multiple times if she wanted to quit her job, at least for a couple of years. I thought the burnout was coming to a head. She was withdrawn and angry. She snapped at me constantly and ridiculed Maya over everything, but she's my wife. She was traumatized by the pandemic, and both Maya and I were understanding. We could manage with just my salary, so last month I sat her down to suggest again that she quit and take some time off to heal. Then everything blew up. She started yelling at me, claiming she knew what I was doing. She said she had known for months and had proof. At first, I didn't know what she was talking about, but it didn't take long to realize that she was accusing me of infidelity. I can't lie, I was angry as hell. I opened my phone, handed it to her, and told her to go through it. I went and got my laptop, unlocked it, and told her to check that too. The whole time, she was still shouting at me about some other woman. I don't have traditional social media accounts. I'm on Lobsters, Hacker News, and I have a Reddit account. I told her to check everything. There's no secret Facebook or Instagram or whatever. No messages from anyone. I opened Discord, even Slack, everything I could think of, but she wouldn't even look at it. She just got angrier and angrier, and then she picked up my laptop and threw it. That's when I had enough and left. I went to my parents' house. All the while, Grace was texting, calling, and leaving more and more unhinged messages about this woman she believes I'm with. When I got to my parents' house, I called her once and told her I needed a few days because I was too angry to handle talking to her. My sister called the next morning and told me that Grace had called her multiple times as well to see if I was really there. After a few days, I called Grace to talk, and at first the conversation was productive. She apologized for throwing the laptop, but she said I made her so angry because I was being so calm. I told her I was not calm. I was being accused of cheating on my wife, and I was furious. However, it was either try to talk it out or start shouting, which I didn't think was a good idea. Then she got angry and told me I was twisting her words, and things fell apart quickly. She started going on and on again about how she knew I was cheating and that she had proof. I asked her what proof she had because I would like to see it. I don't remember how we got there, but she said she was going to send everything to the lawyer, and I said fine, send a copy to mine because this was going nowhere. She got really quiet after that and asked if I was serious. I told her I wasn't going to stay in a marriage where my wife thinks I cheated on her but won't tell me why. We ended the call there, and I've been at my parents' house since. My dad is on my side, my mom thinks Grace is just having a rough time and that we can talk this through. My sister is upset that she got dragged into it, so she thinks we're both at fault, and Maya is miserable because she's being torn between me and her mom. I feel like maybe I jumped the gun and should have stayed calmer. Edit. My morning meetings are finally over and I need to concentrate on my job, so I'm going to log out for the day. I'm going to talk to my mom to see if she'll talk to Grace and suggest therapy, couples therapy, etc. I believe those of you who suggested there are underlying reasons are correct. Something is causing this. I just don't know if it's something I've done, stress in her life, or if it's full-on projection. I don't think it is, but you never know. I'll assure Maya again that she has a place here no matter what. As far as I'm concerned, she's my daughter, and of course, she has a place here if she needs it. However, I also won't try to pressure her, considering that's her mom, and I know this is pulling her in two directions. Second edit, okay, so I took a quick break and thought I'd come back and read a couple of comments, but there are way too many to read. However, there is an overall theme to them, so I'll try to quickly address them here. Someone asked if I was cheating. I understand why you asked that. I never came out and said it in the post, but let me assure you, no, I'm not cheating. I never have. Granted, those are just words, and I'm sure some will think that I'm lying, but I love my wife. I never wanted to cheat. I'm not a saint. I've been attracted to people. I think Salma Hayek is gorgeous, but the thought of cheating has never crossed my mind. A lot of people think she's cheating on me. Again, I don't think so. She's home every night at the same time. She doesn't hide away her devices. Could there be someone at work? Yes. Do I think she's cheating? No. But as many pointed out, those are famous last words. Regarding divorce and staying calm, I have PTSD. I've worked a lot in therapy over the years to process intense emotions. It's why I stay calm, not because I am, but because if I don't, I get overwhelmed. The talk to my lawyer comment was one of those moments I didn't process well. I don't think it's a good idea to divorce her after over a decade together because of this past month. On the other hand, I know that since it's not a safe place for me mentally, I'll stay at my parents' house until we get this resolved. Could it be hormones? Yes, it could. However, my wife is already taking hormones because of a medical procedure she had when she was in her early 30s. As I said, it wasn't in the cards for us to have kids. She has to see the doctor usually every 6 months to check her levels. Her last appointment was in March. However, her mood changes started before that. Mental health issues, this is what I think it is personally. As I said, Grace has been building up to burnout for a while now. These mood changes started a while ago. It's why I brought up taking time off work. It's why I brought it up again last month when she blew up at me. I think this is stress. It's why I haven't actually contacted a lawyer because I hope my marriage can be saved. I think I just wanted reassurance from a neutral third party because I'm so far out of my depth here. To those who say not to get my mom involved, my mom already is. She and Grace are incredibly close. She's called Grace every day to check on her. Grace has no contact with her own family, so I'm not really involving my mom as much as I'm just asking her to suggest marriage counseling to Grace the next time she calls. I sure as hell don't want to get some other party involved in this, so I'm not going to contact a friend to talk to my wife. I haven't had no contact with my wife since I left. I probably should have clarified that. She messages me. Sometimes it's the same silly stuff we've always talked about, like random memes she's found or things her coworkers are doing, and sometimes it's her begging me to just tell her the truth. I'm exhausted mentally from all of this and at the end of my rope. I've suggested therapy a couple of times already, but that's gotten nowhere. Hopefully, my mom bringing it up might help. Why the throwaway? Because my coworkers also have Reddit accounts and I don't want them to see this post. They might, but hopefully software guy in his 40s with a wife in nursing is generic enough for American audiences that they won't know it's me. But if it's on my actual account, they definitely will. No one at work knows, and I'd like to keep it that way. I think that's everything. I want to add though, please don't disparage my wife. I'm upset over this because my wife is a great woman. She's smart, she's funny, she's sweet. She's been a wonderful mother, and that's why I've been worried the past few months about her because this is so out of character. User Traveling Photo Dude said, I wonder if she got the scam your husband is cheating text scam going around. They will say they were cheating with their husband and usually ask for money for the proof. She got the text and thinks it's proof the lady did cheat with her husband and is now waiting for the proof, and that is why she hasn't provided it. It's been a common scam as of late. The proof will never come if they paid for it. They just get dragged along for a while. Under this comment, OP said, this is something I never even thought of, so I will definitely look into this. Thank you, I had no idea that this was even a thing. But it would explain why she hasn't shown me the proof yet, because she's waiting on it. User Self-Inflicted said, your nurse wife is cheating on you and projecting her insecurities onto you. Go check her phone. Under this comment, user Rick Mick said, "Not sure if you included nurse because of this, but as someone who worked in a hospital for many years, doctors and nurses cheat more than any group of people I've ever worked with. They also talk about it very openly, like it's some kind of club where it's just okay to do. I'll caveat by saying obviously it's still a minority of the total population of medical professionals, but it definitely seemed way more common. I'm sure stress plays a huge factor, and during the height of COVID, they were understandably very stressed and overworked." User, my name could be Sam, said, "There's more to the story, as you obviously know, but without knowing what it is, it's difficult to advise. It could be that someone from your past is sabotaging you. They could have mocked up any sort of proof these days. With AI, it is crazy easy. There could be some mental illness at play, so marriage counseling would be good, so a professional can try to help you guys get through this. There could be some physical illness at play, either making her more insecure or even a brain tumor or something, which is making her paranoid. I'd suggest she speak to a doctor, first of all, if she won't speak to you." User Rarebird said, 1. She's cheating and projecting. 2. Someone is messing with your marriage and put a bunch of crap in her head. Friend group issues, etc. 3. She has lost it and needs mental help. 4. You are lying on Reddit. Pick 1, heck, pick 2 if you want, but it's one of these things causing this. You don't know the details, but what else could it be besides one of these? Figure out which one and work from there. The one thing that did stand out to me is the statement that she didn't like how calm you were when she accused you, like it was some kind of test to see how you would react. Does she have idiot friends that could have convinced her of dumb shit like that? Heck, you will see people with idiot peer groups that end up cheating because their friends cheat and tell them to do stuff too. Going through the COVID stress, she might have been spending time with other stressed out crazy nurses that filled her head with weird ideas. You never know. User Crazy Marmalade said, "The only other plausible guess I could make based on what you wrote, other than it's her doing the cheating, is that she has been reading or listening about cheating husbands that pressure their wives to become traditional wives. Maybe her mental health has gotten so low that she thinks you are pressuring her to leave her career in order to chain her down. Of course, that's not proof, but maybe that was just a word she used to make you confess." I am projecting with this next part, but I personally don't have much patience for people who think therapy is for the weak, especially when her own spouse has benefited from it. Does she consider you weak as well? Maybe the health profession would be better off without her. About 4 days later, OP provided an update. "I don't have the energy or patience to go back to AITAH, so I'm just doing this here. A quick and dirty update, no, my wife is not cheating on me. As far as I know, she's not sick, got a tumor, or showing signs of early dementia. If she were, those things would be easier to process. Maybe it's perimenopause or menopause, I don't know. I don't care. Yes, I will be seeking a divorce. No, I will not go into it farther. I have already spoken to a lawyer. Maya is currently living with me and my parents. I will be looking for an apartment/condo to rent soon. I feel like I've overstayed my welcome. Maya is thinking of taking some time off to visit her dad. I don't blame her. I'm a fucking mess right now. I don't even know why I logged back into this account other than to say no. My wife really wasn't cheating on me. I can honestly say I wish she was. It'd be so much fucking easier than this shit. Thanks for the advice and the concern." Another few days later, OP gave another update. This one is titled, "I don't know what to do. I'm sorry if this isn't the right community, but my friend suggested it, and I thought maybe this might be the right place to vent or get advice. I'm not sure what information is necessary or relevant, so I'm just going to write down everything I can think of. I've been married to my wife Grace for 13 years. We've been together for 16. When we first got together, she told me she was low or no contact with her family. There was some obvious trauma regarding it, and as someone with PTSD, I respected that she may not be ready to share it. Plus, my family loved her, so I was happy to share. After dating for a while, right before I proposed, she told me more about her family. Grace is from a deeply fundamentalist Christian family. I know the umbrella stuff was a big deal, as well as marrying young and a lot of really messed up things. She got married at 16 to the son of family friends. He was 19. She was kind of lucky in a way because her ex-husband moved her across the state and away from her family, allowing her to finish school and start college. From what I can gather, he wanted out of the cult too. She had their daughter Maya when she was 21, and he was finishing up his last year of school. When he finished school, he went off to grad school in Europe, and she moved back home to her family. They got divorced soon after. After the divorce, her family tried to marry Grace off to a guy who was over twice her age, which was her cue to finally get out too. From what little she would tell me, it was not an easy exit. A lot of violence was involved, and she suggested there was sexual assault and attempted kidnapping from the older man. However, eventually she got out. She took her daughter, moved in with a distant aunt, and cut off most of her family. A few years later, she met me, and the rest was history, until this year. In the past few months, my wife has been very snappish, experiencing sudden bouts of anger and withdrawal. She's a nurse, and I thought at first she was burnt out. She was working days at a time with no break during the pandemic. I thought the trauma of that and just the nonstop COVID situation was finally coming to a head, so I suggested a few times that maybe she should take some time off. The last time I suggested it, she blew up at me and started accusing me of cheating. It was an intense fight. She said she had proof, and when I wanted to see it, she threw my laptop and I left. We had another fight a bit later over the phone where she said she'd send the proof of my infidelity to a lawyer, and I said to pass it on to mine. After that, we mostly talked via text, and it was mostly her sending me updates at work or silly memes. Periodically, she'd plead with me to tell her the truth about the cheating, but I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. For the past few weeks, I've been waiting to see what proof she had, hoping for her to talk to me more than just a few memes here and there, anything. I've been living with my parents, and it's been incredibly stressful. I thought I was never going to find out what was going on until a few days ago when she showed up at my parents' house to talk. Finally, she told me the proof of my cheating was that her co-worker had told my wife she had seen me with another much younger woman. So, okay, I can handle that. I asked some follow-up questions. What did she look like? Where was this? I figured out pretty quickly that she was talking about Maya. We go to the hospital to eat lunch with her sometimes, and her coworker must have seen us together. Simple mistake, right? Except my wife knew that her coworker was describing Maya and was more or less suggesting I was cheating on her with the child I helped raise and who calls me dad. I tried not to get angry because I know she has a lot of trauma with older men being with younger women, especially after what her parents tried to force her to do. But at the same time, I felt disgusted and betrayed that she'd ever think I'd do that, and the conversation devolved into another argument. During that argument, she admitted that it wasn't just any coworker. The coworker is her first cousin, Sheila, and Sheila is still in the church. It all started tumbling out that she's been hanging out with Sheila during downtime. She's been calling and talking to her dad, the one who tried to marry her off to a man older than I am right now. She's been going to church meetings again when I thought she was at work. And you know what? None of the church stuff would be a problem if she wants to be Christian, whatever. Except everything she's saying is a contradiction to everything else she's saying. First, I evidently am in my prime years for children. I'm 44. I'm past my prime for kids. Maya is 21, and I'm thrilled to have her living at home, but I'm also thrilled she can clean her own bathroom. Because my dad is secular Jewish, he's evil, and that evil is passed down to me. My mom is more evil because she was Christian. She never really was. Her family was lapsed Catholic, and I'm not sure she's ever even been to Mass. But mom turned her back on the church and didn't raise me Christian, which is evil. My mom, a woman who loves my wife probably more than she loves me, is now a sinner and deceitful, according to my wife. But more than all of that, the part that made me sickest and pushed me to actually call a lawyer was that she suggested our daughter, a brilliant, amazing kid who loves her mom so much, is to blame because she's young and flaunting herself. It's all jumbled up in my brain. There was so much more. She went on for what felt like hours before I asked her to leave. I wasn't a good provider because she had to work. I reminded her that I was suggesting she take time off from work, but evidently that was proof that I was just trying to isolate her from her family. There were so many tangents and conspiracies, like suggesting she get therapy, which I've been doing since before the pandemic, but especially after the pandemic was me trying to brainwash her to be okay with me having an affair with Maya. I don't understand any of it. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to even start. That evening, after my wife left, Maya called crying because her mom was saying some really awful things to her. So I told Maya to come stay with my parents and me, and that just added fuel to the fire, so now Grace thinks we're living together. I called a lawyer, and I think my marriage is over, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where the fundamentalist beliefs start and where the conspiracy ends, and what I'm even supposed to do to fix things. I don't know that I can fix things. I don't even know how I missed things falling apart to this extent. User Thin Eggshell said, "You have my sympathies. Personally, I think fixing things sounds hard. She's already been re-brainwashed by her family and her church, and unfortunately, she hid all of this from you. She didn't tell you a word. In those kinds of churches, your marriage is a sin anyway, an unequally yoked marriage where your words will inevitably pull her away from the truth, or so they tell her, and she believes it. She's not thinking independently. I wouldn't be surprised if Sister Sheila reinterprets everything that happens for her again after you talk. I doubt you raised Maya as a Christian, which doesn't make things any better. In their minds, the clearest way to fix everything is the big loyalty test. Everyone needs to convert, go to church, tithe, and you need to shun your parents, and so on. Big acts of commitment that please the Lord, the Emperor, the Father, the Holy One, the King of Kings. Obviously, we don't know when your wife really got back in touch, how she really feels about God now, what her family did, or whether she was right to leave. But honestly, I bet they've gaslit her to the point that she now thinks leaving her family was a mistake. She might believe that God's real plan was the marriage to the older man as a godly wife who never worked and just had babies, and that she needs to be careful now to avoid hell, gain eternal bliss, and not be left behind by God, and so on. She probably sees herself as the prodigal son who ate pig slop because he disobeyed but got it all back by returning to the family. She had all those beliefs and thought patterns carved into her head as a child. If it seems a lot like mental illness, that's because it is a lot like it. Every disagreement you have, every time you contradict her truth too harshly, it's just evidence of your wickedness. It counts against you, and she'll retreat to prayer to avoid processing anything you told her. It's all from the devil. I say all this to give an idea of what you might be up against in case you didn't already know. I don't think this kind of thing gets fully fixed unless she cuts off her family on her own and realizes on her own that it's all nonsense and that her church is a cult, not a reasonable religion. Then again, her church tells her she'll be persecuted for being faithful. Maybe she thinks the persecution has already started. And her church is probably the kind that denounces people for not being extreme enough. Plus, you have to mend your relationship with her and with Maya, which are two separate things. She might only be willing to fully accept Maya if Maya joins her cult or its culture by being overtly modest in ways that she can recognize. I'm not sure what you can do besides telling her you love her, making the effort to learn how to speak her cultural language to make her feel more comfortable, and figuring out how her boundaries have changed so that she can feel understood and safe. She's not just speaking or thinking in English anymore. She's speaking and thinking in code for afterlife, judgment, insecurity, and fear. User Electronic House 365 said, "The other comment here does a wonderful job of explaining what's going on from your wife's perspective and how things are being twisted in her head. I'm not that smart, but I will say that this looks really tough. So tough that if I were in your position, I would start to prepare myself to let go and focus on myself. I say this because I feel worried about how all of this is stressing and affecting you. I know that in situations like this, it is very easy for us to cling to the dream of making it work somehow and getting the partner we love so deeply back. But from what I've heard here, I don't think that's a healthy choice. It feels awful to leave someone in a position like your wife is in, but trying to fix this all on your own and deal with someone like her is going to take a toll on you. She has a web of abusers around her who are pulling her in the wrong direction, and I don't know what you could even say to her without their influence, as well as your wife's mental state, twisting every little thing you say or do into an act of evil. We all want to be there for the people we love, even at their lowest times, but I think there is a point where self-sacrifice is too much. You shouldn't ruin yourself and your well-being to try and fix your relationship with someone who is so adamant in believing everything you do is an act of malice. Your wife's actions aren't just tearing you down, but also Maya and any other person in your life or hers whom she may view as evil. She may be someone you love very much, and she may be a victim herself, but it's not okay for her to make you and your loved ones victims as well. Please, please, please take care of yourself, seriously. None of this is your fault, so don't take it out on yourself or anything like that. You need some boundaries between you and your wife. Maybe even cut contact altogether, although I know that is much easier said than done, and ultimately it is your choice. I'm just saying I think it will be the healthiest option for you, even if it is hard at first. I wish you the best. Sorry if there is anything here that I have misread. At the end of the day, this is just advice from a stranger, but really think about what I've said, okay? The most recent update was made just 10 days ago. It's titled, "I'm a bit drunk. Be patient with me. I saw my wife earlier today. I wanted to sit down and start talking about what divorce was going to look like between us. We have over a decade of our finances, our home, and our lives intermingled. I've been paying for Maya's school. It's her job that provides most of our insurance coverage. I put the down payment on our house, but she's paid off just as much of it as I have. We'll have lawyers handle all this, but at the same time, I just wanted to look at her and make her see what she was doing. Divorce isn't just a word, it's a real concrete thing. The lives that we have been living are over as we know it. We're not old. It's not like we can't move on from this, but at the same time, I've been her husband for so long that I don't know who I am without her. When I got home, I started drinking and I haven't stopped all evening, which is stupid. Don't do what I did, I just couldn't stop. I kept seeing her sitting across from me, refusing to look at me. I don't know her anymore and I'm not sure if I ever did. My therapist talks about masking, right? Because of the PTSD and ADHD and everything. I mask a lot with coworkers or clients or whatever, but I never had to mask at home. And now I'm wondering if during this entire marriage, she was just masking being happy with me. Was she miserable the whole time? Did she pick me because I was stable and a good father figure to Maya? I'm not ugly, but I'm not handsome either. Our life was good, but was it? Was she just doing it because she learned all that stuff as a kid, that she had to please her husband? I feel sick. I feel like I abused her because I don't know how much of it was her and how much was just the programming she went through in that church. And Maya is just, she's not great. She's trying so hard to be stoic and strong, but she's my baby girl. I taught her how to fish and she's better at it than I am. She taught me how to knit when I was having trouble with work during the pandemic and struggling with the lockdown. She's such an amazing kid and she's hurting and I hate Grace for that. I hate her for hurting our kid, but I love her and that hurts too. I don't know what the point of this was. I came back to read over the theories about her cheating on me or menopause. I thought what we had was fixable. I thought if I worked at it, we could change things. And it's just over. It's so final. Let that be a lesson. Sometimes things just end and there is nothing any of us can do about it.